I never thought I'd be sharing this, but here it goes. My name's Mike, and I'm here because I royally screwed up. I'm not looking for sympathy, just a place to vent and maybe get some advice. Last Friday was the day everything fell apart, but to really understand how things got to that point, we need to rewind a bit. Emily and I have been together for 5 years. We were the golden couple, the ones everyone envied, full of love, laughter, and passion. But about a year ago, things began to change. Emily got a new job that required frequent travel. At first, I was thrilled for her. She deserved it. But soon, the distance between us grew, and not just physically. I had also recently received a promotion at work, which added its own set of stresses. As a project manager at a tech company, I suddenly had more responsibilities and longer hours. I was constantly on edge, trying to balance my work and personal life. It was during this stressful period that I met Jessica. Jessica was a new hire in the marketing department. We clicked immediately. She was vibrant, fun, and always ready to have a good time, everything that felt lacking in my life with Emily constantly away. We started having lunch together, sharing laughs and stories about our stressful jobs. One night, after a particularly grueling day, we went out for drinks to blow off some steam. One drink led to another, and before I knew it, we crossed lines I should have never crossed. I told myself it was harmless, just a distraction from the mess at home. Fast forward to last Friday. Emily was supposed to be out of town for work, but her meeting got canceled. I had no idea. Jessica and I were in the living room, caught up in a moment I should have never allowed to happen when the front door swung open. My heart stopped as Emily stood there, her eyes wide with shock and fury. "What the actual fuck is going on here?" she yelled, her voice shaking with rage. Jessica scrambled to gather her things and bolted out the door, leaving me to face the storm I had created. I tried to explain, to come up with some excuse, but words failed me. Emily didn't need an explanation. She saw everything she needed to see. The room felt suffocatingly silent as she stood there, her face a mask of betrayal and anger. "How long, Mike?" she demanded. "How long have you been lying to me?" There was no point in lying anymore. "A few months," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. Her face twisted with disgust. "You absolute piece of shit. I should have known better than to trust you." I reached out to her, but she stepped back. "Don't you dare touch me," she hissed. "You don't get to play the victim here. You've destroyed everything." She stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I was left standing in the middle of the living room, the weight of my actions crushing me. Emily emerged moments later with a suitcase, shoving clothes into it haphazardly. "Where are you going?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Anywhere but here," she spat. "I need to get as far away from you as possible." She packed a bag and left without another word, leaving me alone in the empty apartment we once called home. As the door clicked shut behind her, I realized the gravity of what I had done. I had not only betrayed Emily's trust, but also shattered the life we had built together. The days that followed were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could think about was the look on Emily's face, the hurt in her eyes. I had thrown away the best thing that ever happened to me for a few moments of distraction. The guilt was crushing, and I knew I had to face the consequences of my actions. I'm not sure what the future holds for us, or if there even is a future for us. All I know is that I want to make things right, to somehow mend the pieces of our broken relationship. But first, I need to find a way to confront my own demons and understand why I did what I did. If anyone out there has been through something similar, I could really use some advice. How do you even begin to rebuild trust after such a massive betrayal? Is there any hope for redemption, or have I lost Emily forever? Emily didn't come home that night. I spent hours staring at my phone, hoping for a message or call, but there was nothing. The silence was deafening. The next morning, I woke up to find our apartment eerily empty, every little thing reminding me of what I had just destroyed. 2 days passed without any word from Emily. I was a wreck, unable to eat or sleep properly. Then on the 3rd day, she came back. She looked different, like someone who had aged years in just a couple of days. Her eyes were cold, her demeanor distant. "We need to talk," she said, her voice flat. We sat down in the living room, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "Why, Mike? Why did you do it?" she asked, tears welling up in her eyes. "Was I not enough for you?" I fumbled for words, trying to explain how lonely I had felt, how disconnected we had become. But everything I said just sounded like excuses. Emily listened, her face a mask of pain and betrayal. "I thought we were stronger than this," she whispered. "I thought we could get through anything together." I reached out to her, but she pulled away. "Don't touch me," she snapped. "You don't get to comfort me, not after what you've done." I tried to apologize, to tell her that Jessica meant nothing to me, that it was a mistake. But Emily wasn't having it. "A mistake? You call months of lying and cheating a mistake? Do you have any idea how much you've hurt me?" Her words cut deep, each one a reminder of how badly I had messed up. I wanted to fix things, to go back in time and change everything, but there was no going back. "What do you want to do?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Emily looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. "I don't know, Mike. Right now, I just need some space. I can't even look at you without feeling sick." She packed a few more things and left again, this time without any indication of when or if she would come back. I was left alone once more, drowning in a sea of guilt and regret. The days that followed were a blur. I tried to keep myself busy, but everything reminded me of Emily. Our apartment felt like a mausoleum, filled with the ghosts of our happier times. I couldn't escape the constant replay of our last conversation in my head, Emily's pained expression haunting me. I knew I had to give her the space she needed, but the uncertainty was killing me. Every passing day without hearing from her felt like another nail in the coffin of our relationship. I was desperate for a chance to make things right, but I didn't know if I would ever get that chance. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew louder. One evening, out of sheer desperation, I called her. The phone rang endlessly before she finally picked up. "What do you want, Mike?" Her voice was cold and distant, and it sent a chill down my spine. BJ, I just want to talk, Emily. Can we please talk?" I pleaded, my voice breaking. "There's nothing left to say," she replied sharply. "You've said and done enough. Emily, please," I begged. "I'm willing to do anything to fix this. I love you." There was a long pause, and I could hear her sigh on the other end. "You don't get it, do you? It's not that simple. You broke us, Mike. You shattered everything we built." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Give me a chance to make it right. I need time," she finally said. "And I don't know how much time it'll take or if I'll ever be ready to forgive you. But right now, I need to be alone." She hung up, leaving me in the deafening silence once again. I dropped the phone and buried my face in my hands, feeling the weight of my actions crushing me. I had no choice but to wait and hope that with time, Emily might find it in her heart to give me another chance. But until then, all I could do was confront my own demons and try to understand why I had done what I did. And so, I began a journey of self-reflection and remorse, hoping that somewhere along the way I might find a way to heal the wounds I had inflicted on the person I loved most. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between Emily and me grew more unbearable with each passing day. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself from the gnawing guilt and regret that plagued me. Nights were the hardest, the loneliness echoing through our empty apartment. One evening, as I sat on the couch, staring blankly at the TV, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emily. "We need to talk. Meet me at our favorite coffee shop tomorrow at 3 p.m. My heart raced. I didn't know what to expect. Would she finally forgive me? Or was this the end for us? I hardly slept that night, my mind racing with scenarios of our meeting. The next day, I arrived early at the coffee shop, our favorite place where we had shared countless memories. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but I could hardly enjoy it. I was too anxious, my eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Emily walked in, and my breath caught in my throat. She looked beautiful, but there was a hardness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She sat down across from me, her expression unreadable. "Mike," she began, her voice calm but firm. "I've had some time to think about everything." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. "I'm not going to sugarcoat this," she continued. "What you did hurt me deeply. It shattered my trust in you and in our relationship. But I also know that we can't move forward unless we address everything honestly." I swallowed hard. "I'm ready to talk, Emily. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." She nodded, her eyes piercing into mine. I need to know why, Mike. Why did you do it? Was I not enough for you? Did I push you away? Her questions were like daggers, but I knew she deserved the truth. It wasn't about you not being enough, Emily. It was about me feeling lonely and unappreciated. I should have talked to you about how I was feeling, but instead, I took the coward's way out. I'm so sorry. Emily looked down at her coffee, her fingers tracing the rim of the cup. I've been replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out where we went wrong. I know I've been distant, but I was doing it for us, for our future. I never imagined it would push you away. I know, and I should have supported you, I said, my voice cracking. I was selfish and immature. I let my own insecurities get the best of me. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our words hanging heavily between us. Finally, Emily looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. Mike, I don't know if I can ever trust you again, but I also can't ignore the fact that I still love you. I need to know if you're truly willing to change, to be the partner I deserve. I am, Emily, I said, reaching across the table to take her hand. I want to prove to you that I can be better. I'll do whatever it takes, for however long it takes. She squeezed my hand, a flicker of hope in her eyes. This isn't going to be easy, Mike. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time. We'll need therapy, both together and separately. And I need you to be completely honest with me, no matter how hard it is. I understand, and I'm ready, I said, my heart swelling with determination. I'll do whatever it takes to rebuild your trust and make things right. We spent the next hour talking, really talking, for the first time in months. We laid everything out on the table, the hurt, the anger, the fear, and the hope. It was raw and painful, but it was also a step in the right direction. As we left the coffee shop, Emily turned to me, her expression softer than it had been in weeks. I'm not making any promises, Mike, but I'm willing to try. For us. I nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. Thank you, Emily. I won't let you down. We walked to our cars, the distance between us feeling just a little bit smaller. There was a long road ahead, but for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were on it together. And that was a start. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions and efforts to rebuild what I had shattered. Emily and I started seeing a therapist, both individually and as a couple. The sessions were intense, unearthing a lot of buried feelings and unresolved issues. It was exhausting, but we both knew it was necessary. Emily moved back in, but things were far from normal. We established new routines to ensure open communication. We had weekly check-ins where we discussed our feelings, any lingering doubts, and our progress. These sessions were emotionally draining but crucial for our healing. One evening, after a particularly tough therapy session, Emily and I sat on the couch holding hands. It was the first time in weeks that we felt a semblance of closeness. Mike, do you really think we can get through this? She asked, her voice trembling with vulnerability. I squeezed her hand gently. I believe we can, Emily. It's going to be hard, but I'm committed to making this work. I love you, and I want us to be stronger than ever. She nodded, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and fear. I want that too. But sometimes the pain feels unbearable. I see you and think about what happened, and it hurts so much. I know, and I'm so sorry for everything, I said, my voice breaking. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. We decided to make a list of things we wanted to do together, activities that could help us reconnect. One of the items on our list was to take a cooking class together. Neither of us was particularly skilled in the kitchen, but we thought it would be a fun way to bond and learn something new. The class turned out to be a fantastic experience, filled with laughter, teamwork, and delicious food. It was a reminder that we could still find joy and connection in the simplest of activities. However, not everything was smooth sailing. One day, as we were preparing dinner, Emily's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it and sighed, her expression darkening. What's wrong? I asked, concerned. It's my mom, she replied, her voice tight. She found out about everything. She wants me to leave you. I felt a wave of panic. What did you tell her? Emily looked at me, her eyes filled with determination. I told her that it's my decision to make. I told her that I love you and that we're working on things. Her words gave me a glimmer of hope, but I knew the road ahead would be tough. Friends and family were now aware of our situation, and their opinions added another layer of complexity to our already fragile relationship. One evening, as we were sitting on the balcony, enjoying a rare moment of peace, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Mike, there's something I need to tell you. My heart raced. What is it? She took a deep breath. While we were apart, someone from my past reached out to me, an old friend from college. We met for coffee a couple of times. Nothing happened, but I felt conflicted. Her confession hit me like a punch to the gut, but I knew I had no right to judge. Thank you for telling me, Emily. I appreciate your honesty. Do you still have feelings for him? She shook her head. No. It was just a moment of confusion. I realized that I want to be with you, Mike, but I needed to be honest about it. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. I understand, and I appreciate your honesty. We both have to be open if we're going to make this work. As we continued our journey of rebuilding, we encountered more challenges and setbacks. Trust is fragile, and even the smallest things could trigger doubts and fears. But each time, we faced them head-on, determined to move forward. One night, after a particularly emotional therapy session, Emily turned to me as we lay in bed. Mike, do you believe in second chances? I looked into her eyes, filled with hope and determination. Yes, I do, and I believe in us. We fell asleep holding each other, the weight of our journey still heavy, but with a renewed sense of hope. We had a long road ahead, but we were walking it together, and that was what mattered most. As Emily and I continued our journey towards rebuilding our relationship, we encountered unexpected twists and new challenges that tested our commitment and resilience. Our therapy sessions were helping, but the road to recovery was anything but smooth. One day at work, I received a call from Emily. Her voice was shaky, and I could tell she was upset. Mike, can you come home early today? There's something we need to discuss, she said, her tone filled with urgency. My mind raced with possibilities. I'll be there as soon as I can, I replied, feeling a knot form in my stomach. When I arrived home, Emily was sitting on the couch, her laptop open on the coffee table. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and fear. What's going on? I asked, sitting down beside her. She took a deep breath and turned the laptop screen towards me. I received an email from an anonymous sender. It's about you and Jessica. My heart sank as I read the email. It contained details about my affair with Jessica that only someone close to us could know. Attached were photos of Jessica and me together, taken without our knowledge. Who could have sent this? I asked, my mind racing. I don't know, but it means someone close to us knew about the affair and decided to stir up trouble, Emily replied, her voice trembling with anger. We spent the next few days trying to figure out who could have sent the email. The uncertainty and fear of being watched added another layer of stress to our already strained relationship. During this time, we also had to deal with the reactions of our friends and family. Emily's mother, who had always been protective of her, was particularly vocal about her disapproval of me. She called frequently, urging Emily to leave me and start fresh. One evening, as we were having dinner, Emily's phone rang. It was her mother, and I could hear her angry voice even from across the room. Mom, I appreciate your concern, but this is my decision, Emily said firmly. I love Mike and we're working on things. Please respect that. After she hung up, Emily looked at me, her eyes filled with frustration. I wish she would understand. This is hard enough without her constant interference. I reached out and took her hand. I'm sorry, Emily. I never wanted to cause you this much pain. We'll get through this together. Despite the external pressures, Emily and I continued to focus on rebuilding our relationship. We spent more time together, engaging in activities that helped us reconnect. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the mountains, hoping the change of scenery would do us good. The trip turned out to be exactly what we needed. Surrounded by nature, we found moments of peace and clarity. We hiked, talked, and even laughed, a rare occurrence these days. It was during one of these hikes that Emily opened up about something that had been weighing on her mind. Mike, there's something I need to tell you, she began, her voice filled with hesitation. I stopped walking and turned to her, my heart racing. What is it? She took a deep breath. While we were apart, I did more than just meet that old friend for coffee. We went out a few times, and I developed feelings for him. Nothing physical happened, but I needed to be honest with you. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I knew I had no right to judge. Thank you for telling me, Emily. I appreciate your honesty. Do you still have feelings for him? She shook her head. No. I realized that my heart belongs to you, but I felt guilty for hiding it. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. I understand, and I appreciate your honesty. We both have to be open if we're going to make this work. As we continued our hike, we talked about our fears, our hopes, and our commitment to each other. It was a difficult conversation, but it brought us closer. The trip to the mountains was a turning point for us. It reminded us of the love we shared and the reasons we were fighting to save our relationship. But it also made us realize that we had to be prepared for more challenges ahead. When we returned home, we decided to adopt a Doga Lively Labrador mix named Max. Max quickly became an integral part of our lives, bringing joy and a sense of responsibility that helped us stay focused on our goal of rebuilding our relationship. However, the challenges didn't stop. One evening, as we were watching a movie, Emily received a call from her job. There were rumors of a company-wide restructuring, and she was worried about losing her position. "Mike, what if I lose my job? We've been through so much already." "I don't know if I can handle more stress," she said, her voice filled with anxiety. I pulled her into a hug. "We'll figure it out, Emily. Together. We've faced worse, and we've come out stronger." The following weeks were filled with uncertainty as we waited for news about Emily's job. The stress took its toll on both of us, but we tried to stay strong and support each other. One day, Emily came home with a relieved smile on her face. "I kept my job. The restructuring affected other departments, but I'm safe." I hugged her tightly, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. "That's amazing news, Emily. I knew we'd get through this." Despite the ongoing challenges, our commitment to each other remained strong. We had faced betrayal, guilt, and external pressures, but we were still standing. Our journey was far from over, but we were determined to keep moving forward, one step at a time. And so, we continued our path towards healing and rebuilding, with Max by our side and a renewed sense of hope. The road ahead was uncertain, but we were ready to face it together, come what may. As the dust began to settle from the restructuring at Emily's job, we found ourselves in a brief period of calm. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to breathe and reconnect without the constant pressure that had been looming over us. Max, our lively Labrador mix, became a beacon of joy in our lives, bringing us closer with his playful antics and boundless energy. We decided to make the most of this newfound peace by focusing on ourselves and our relationship. Our therapist suggested we try new activities together to create positive memories and strengthen our bond. We started with something simple but significant: cooking classes. Our first cooking class was a bit chaotic but incredibly fun. We fumbled with ingredients, laughed at our mistakes, and celebrated our small victories. It was a reminder that we could still find joy in each other's company, even amidst the challenges. One evening, after a particularly successful attempt at making homemade pasta, we sat down to eat, feeling accomplished. The mood was light, and Emily looked at me with a genuine smile. "This is really nice, Mike. I missed Thysis. Having fun together?" she said, her eyes reflecting a glimmer of hope. I reached across the table and took her hand. "I missed this too, Emily. I'm grateful for every moment we get to spend together like this." Our cooking classes soon became a regular thing, and with each session we grew closer. We also began to explore other activities on our list: hiking, visiting museums, and even taking a weekend pottery class. Each experience brought us new insights about each other and deepened our connection. But as much as we were enjoying this new chapter, the past still had its way of creeping back in. One night, as we were sitting on the couch watching a movie, Emily's phone buzzed. It was a message from Jessica. Emily's face darkened as she read the text. "It's Jessica. She says she wants to talk to you." A wave of anxiety washed over me. "What does she want?" "She says she needs closure and wants to apologize in person," Emily replied, her voice tinged with suspicion and frustration. "What are you going to do?" I took a deep breath. "I'll meet her, but I'll make it clear that there's nothing left between us. You're the one I love, Emily." The next day, I met Jessica at a CAF GC. She looked nervous and regretful. "Mike, I'm really sorry for everything. I didn't mean to cause so much trouble." "I appreciate the apology, Jessica," I said, keeping my tone firm. "But there's nothing more to say. My focus is on rebuilding my relationship with Emily. I hope you understand that." Jessica nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I do. I just needed to say, I'm sorry. I wish you both the best." As I walked away from the CAF GC, I felt a sense of closure. It was time to leave the past behind and focus on the future with Emily. When I got home, I found Emily waiting for me, her expression a mix of hope and fear. "How did it go?" she asked. "It's over," I said, pulling her into a hug. She apologized, and I made it clear that my priority is you and our relationship. Emily sighed with relief, resting her head on my shoulder. "Thank you, Mike." I needed to hear that. With Jessica out of the picture, we continued to focus on our healing journey. Our therapy sessions became less about the past and more about building a stronger future. We learned to communicate better, to express our needs and fears openly, and to support each other in meaningful ways. One afternoon, as we were walking Max in the park, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mike, I've been thinking a lot about our future. I know we've talked about it before, but I want to know what you see for us in the long run." I smiled, feeling a surge of love for her. "I see us building a life together, filled with love, trust, and new adventures. I see us growing old together, still laughing and finding joy in the little things." Emily's eyes softened. "That's what I want too, and I believe we can have that. But we need to keep working on us every day. I promise we will," I said, pulling her close. "We've come this far, and I'm not giving up on us." As we continued our walk, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but we were stronger for it. We had faced our demons, confronted our past, and were building a future together, one step at a time. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Emily by my side, I knew we could face anything. Our love had been tested, but it had also been reaffirmed. And as we walked into the sunset with Max happily trotting beside us, I knew that we were on the right path together. As Emily and I continued to rebuild our relationship, we discovered that the journey towards redemption was filled with both joyous moments and unexpected challenges. Our newfound activities and open communication were helping us heal, but the shadows of our past still lingered. One morning, as we were having breakfast, Emily looked at me with a serious expression. "Mike, there's something I need to tell you. It's about work." My heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "I've been offered a promotion," she said, her voice steady but cautious. "It's a great opportunity, but it involves more travel and even longer hours." I felt a mix of pride and dread. "That's amazing, Emily. You deserve it. But how do you feel about the travel and time commitment?" Emily sighed. "I'm torn. I don't want us to go back to where we were before. I'm afraid it might put too much strain on us again." I reached across the table and took her hand. "We've come so far and we've learned a lot. We can handle this together. If this is something you want, we'll find a way to make it work." She smiled, a hint of relief in her eyes. "Thank you, Mike. That means a lot to me." As Emily took on her new role, we made a concerted effort to maintain our connection. We scheduled regular video calls when she was away, sent each other messages throughout the day, and made the most of the time we had together when she was home. Despite our efforts, the increased distance and stress began to take its toll. One evening, after a particularly grueling week for both of us, we had a heated argument about something trivial. The tension that had been building finally erupted. "Mike, I feel like we're slipping back into old patterns," Emily said, her voice filled with frustration. "We're not communicating like we used to." "I know, and I'm sorry," I replied, feeling the weight of the situation. "I've been so stressed with work, and I didn't realize how much it was affecting us." "We need to find a way to stay connected, even when things get tough," she said, her eyes pleading for a solution. "I agree. Let's make a plan to check in with each other every day, no matter how busy we are." "We need to prioritize our relationship," I suggested. Emily nodded, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. "I think that's a good idea. We can't let the past repeat itself." With renewed determination, we implemented our plan and made a conscious effort to be more present and attentive to each other's needs. It wasn't always easy, but the commitment we had to each other kept us moving forward. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to the beach. The sound of the waves and the salty breeze provided a much-needed escape from our hectic lives. As we walked along the shore, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mike, do you ever think about the future? About what we want for ourselves and our family?" she asked. I nodded, feeling a warmth in my chest. "I think about it all the time. I want a future with you, Emily. A family, a home filled with love and laughter." She smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. I want that too, and I believe we can have it, but we need to keep working on us every day. I promise we will, I said, pulling her close. We've come this far, and I'm not giving up on us. As we continued our walk, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but we were stronger for it. We had faced our demons, confronted our past, and were building a future together, one step at a time. Back at home, our lives settled into a new rhythm. Emily's promotion brought new challenges, but we faced them together, with open communication and unwavering support for each other. We also continued to enjoy our hobbies and activities, finding joy in the simple moments we shared. One night, as we sat on the balcony watching the stars, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. Mike, I'm proud of us. We've been through so much, but we're still here, still fighting for our love. I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. I'm proud of us too, Emily. We've proven that we can overcome anything as long as we're together. As we sat there basking in the quiet serenity of the night, I knew that our journey was far from over. But with Emily by my side, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Our love had been tested, but it had also been reaffirmed. And as we looked towards the future, I knew that we were on the right path together. The months following Emily's promotion were a mix of highs and lows. We were committed to making our relationship work, but the increased demands of her job sometimes made it feel like we were fighting an uphill battle. Our daily check-ins and weekends spent together were our lifelines, but the stress was always lurking in the background. One day, as I was preparing dinner, Emily came home looking unusually tense. She dropped her bag on the floor and sank into a chair at the kitchen table. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting down the knife and walking over to her. She sighed heavily. "There's a new project at work, and it's going to require me to travel even more. It's a huge opportunity, but I'm worried about us." I sat down next to her, taking her hand in mine. "Emily, we've faced so much already. We can get through this too. What do you need from me to make this work?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and fear. "I need us to be stronger than ever. We can't let this distance drive a wedge between us again." "I promise we won't," I said, squeezing her hand. "We'll find a way to make this work." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparations for Emily's project. She was busier than ever, and I did my best to support her, taking care of things at home and making sure our time together was meaningful. But the stress of her new responsibilities began to take its toll on both of us. One evening, as we were sitting on the couch, Emily turned to me with a troubled expression. "Mike, I've been feeling really overwhelmed lately. I don't know if I can keep up with everything." I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her close. "Emily, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. You're doing so much. What can I do to help?" She sighed, resting her head on my shoulder. "I just need to know that you're here for me, that we're in this together." "I'm here, Emily. Always," I said, kissing the top of her head. As Emily's project ramped up, I started to notice subtle changes in her behavior. She was more withdrawn, often lost in thought, and seemed to be carrying a heavy burden. I tried to be patient and understanding, but the distance between us began to grow. One night, as we lay in bed, Emily turned to me, her eyes filled with tears. "Mike, I've been feeling really alone lately. Even when we're together, I feel like we're drifting apart." Her words cut deep, and I felt a surge of guilt. "Emily, I'm so sorry. I've been so focused on trying to support you that I didn't realize I was neglecting our emotional connection. What can I do to make it better?" She took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "I need you to be present, Mike. Really present, not just physically, but emotionally too. I need to feel like we're a team. I promise. I'll do better," I said, holding her tightly. "We'll get through this, Emily, together." As the weeks went by, I made a conscious effort to be more emotionally available. We started having deeper conversations, sharing our fears and dreams and finding ways to reconnect. It wasn't always easy, but the effort was worth it. One weekend, we decided to take a spontaneous trip to the countryside. We rented a small cabin away from the hustle and bustle of our daily lives. The peaceful surroundings gave us a chance to relax and reconnect. On the second night, as we sat by the fireplace, Emily turned to me with a serious expression. "Mike, there's something I've been wanting to tell you. It's about the anonymous email we received a while back." I felt a chill run down my spine. What about it? I did some digging and I found out who sent it, she said, her voice steady but intense. It was Jessica. She was trying to sabotage our relationship. My heart raced as I processed her words. Why would she do that? Emily sighed. I think she couldn't let go. She wanted to create doubt and tension between us. I felt a surge of anger, but also a strange sense of relief. Emily, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. Thank you for finding out the truth. She nodded, her eyes filled with determination. I confronted her and made it clear that she has no place in our lives anymore. We deserve to move on without her shadow hanging over us. I reached out and took her hand, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and love. Thank you, Emily, for standing up for us. We're stronger than ever. As we sat by the fire, the warmth of the flames reflecting in Emily's eyes, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We had faced countless challenges, but we were still here, still fighting for our love. The road ahead would undoubtedly bring more trials, but with Emily by my side, I knew we could face anything. Our journey was far from over, but we were committed to building a future together, one step at a time. And as we looked towards the horizon, I knew that our love, tested and reaffirmed, would guide us through whatever lay ahead. Our spontaneous trip to the countryside proved to be a pivotal moment in our journey. The fresh air, the peaceful surroundings, and the time away from our hectic lives allowed us to reconnect in a way we hadn't in a long time. We returned home feeling more united, ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. But as life would have it, the peace was short-lived. Emily's project at work began demanding even more of her time and energy. The increased travel and long hours made it difficult for us to maintain the connection we had worked so hard to rebuild. Despite our best efforts, the cracks started to show. One evening, after a particularly grueling week, Emily came home looking utterly exhausted. She dropped her bags at the door and collapsed onto the couch, her face buried in her hands. I sat down beside her, gently placing a hand on her back. "Emily, are you okay?" I asked, my voice filled with concern. She looked up, her eyes red and tired. "I don't know, Mike. I'm so overwhelmed. I feel like I'm drowning in work, and it's affecting us. I don't know how much more I can take." I felt a pang of guilt and helplessness. "I'm sorry, Emily. I wish I could do more to help." "What can we do to make this easier for you?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know. I just feel like I'm losing myself, and in the process, I'm losing us." Her words hit me hard. I knew we needed to make a change, and fast. "Emily, maybe it's time to consider making some adjustments. Your health and our relationship are more important than any job. What if you talk to your boss about reducing your hours or delegating some of your responsibilities?" She wiped her tears away, considering my suggestion. "I've thought about it, but I'm afraid it might affect my career. I understand, but you can't keep going like this." "We can't keep going like this," I said, my voice firm but gentle. "Let's prioritize what truly matters." The next day, Emily had a meeting with her boss. It was a difficult conversation, but she managed to negotiate a more manageable workload. The relief on her face when she came home was palpable. "Thank you, Mike," she said, hugging me tightly. "I don't know if I would have had the courage to do that without your support." "We're a team, Emily. We'll get through this together," I replied, feeling a sense of hope and renewed determination. With the reduction in her workload, Emily had more time and energy to focus on our relationship. We resumed our regular check-ins, our cooking classes, and our spontaneous weekend getaways. Slowly but surely, we began to find our rhythm again. One afternoon, as we were walking Max in the park, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mike, I've been thinking a lot about our future. I know we've talked about it before, but I want to make sure we're on the same page." I nodded, sensing the seriousness of the conversation. "Of course, Emily. What's on your mind?" She took a deep breath. "I want us to start planning for our future together. I want to build a life with you, to have a family, and to create a home filled with love and laughter. But I need to know that you're fully committed to this." I felt a surge of emotion as I looked into her eyes. "Emily, I've never been more committed to anything in my life. I want all of that and more. I want to build a future with you, filled with new adventures and memories." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I believe in us, Mike. We've come so far, and I know we can create something beautiful together." As we continued our walk, we talked about our dreams and aspirations, both individually and as a couple. We discussed our goals, our fears, and our plans for the future. It was a conversation filled with hope and excitement, a testament to the strength of our bond. In the months that followed, we took concrete steps towards building our future. We started looking for a new place to call home, a place where we could create new memories and lay down roots. We also began exploring the idea of starting a family, discussing what that would look like and how we could prepare for it. One evening, as we were sitting on the balcony watching the sunset, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "Mike, I'm so grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us stronger and brought us closer together. I love you." I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I love you too, Emily, and I'm grateful for you. We've faced so many challenges, but we're still here, stronger than ever." As we sat there, basking in the quiet serenity of the evening, I knew that our journey was far from over. But with Emily by my side, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Our love had been tested, but it had also been reaffirmed. And as we looked towards the future, I knew that we were on the right path together. Our journey had been tumultuous, filled with ups and downs. But as Emily and I sat on the balcony watching the sunset, we felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. We had faced countless challenges, but our love had proven resilient. Now, it was time to build the future we had dreamed of together. In the months following our heartfelt conversation about the future, we took concrete steps towards realizing our dreams. We found a charming house in a quiet neighborhood that felt like the perfect place to start anew. Moving in was a milestone that symbolized a fresh beginning, a place where we could create new memories and lay down roots. One of the most significant steps we took was deciding to start a family. It was a decision filled with excitement and a bit of trepidation. We knew it would be a new challenge, but we were ready to face it together. Emily and I talked about our hopes and fears, making sure we were both on the same page. A few months later, Emily came to me with a nervous but hopeful expression. "Mike, I have some news," she said, her voice trembling slightly. I felt my heart race. "What is it, Emily?" She handed me a small white stick with a positive pregnancy test. "We're going to have a baby." I was overwhelmed with emotion. Tears filled my eyes as I pulled her into a tight embrace. "Emily, that's amazing! I'm so happy! I can't wait to start this journey with you." As the months passed, we prepared for the arrival of our little one. We decorated the nursery, attended prenatal classes, and spent countless hours dreaming about our future as parents. It was a time filled with joy and anticipation, and it brought us even closer together. One evening, as we sat in the nursery, putting the finishing touches on the room, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "Mike, I can't believe how far we've come. I'm so grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us stronger and brought us closer together." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I love you, Emily, and I'm grateful for you. We've faced so many challenges, but we're still here, stronger than ever." As our due date approached, we were filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. We knew our lives were about to change in ways we couldn't fully comprehend, but we were ready to embrace this new chapter together. The day finally came when Emily went into labor. It was a whirlwind of emotions, but we faced it together, supporting each other every step of the way. When our baby girl was born, we were overwhelmed with love and joy. Holding her in my arms for the first time, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for everything we had been through. It had all led to this beautiful moment. As we settled into our new roles as parents, we faced new challenges and joys. Sleepless nights, first smiles, and endless diaper changes became our new reality. But through it all, we remained a team, supporting each other and finding strength in our love. One night, as we sat on the balcony, our baby girl sleeping peacefully in her crib, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "Mike, I'm so happy. I love our little family. I love you." I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "I love you too, Emily, and I'm so grateful for our journey. We've faced so many challenges, but we're here, stronger and more in love than ever. As we looked towards the future, we knew that there would be more challenges to face, more obstacles to overcome. But we were ready, confident in our love and commitment to each other. Our journey had been a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and resilience. And as we sat together, watching the stars, we knew that our future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. Our story was far from over, but with Emily by my side, I felt ready to face whatever came our way. We had built a life filled with love, trust, and hope. And I knew that together, we could overcome anything. Our love had been tested, but it had also been reaffirmed. And as we looked towards the future, I knew that we were on the right path together, forever.